Last year, we completed our first World Voyage on board Cunard's brand new ship, Queen Anne. We visited 30 ports across 19 countries during 4 months in what was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
We documented our entire journey in a feature-length film which you can watch on this very channel. During the film, we asked for your questions and comments, and now in this final episode of the World Voyage series, we will answer them all. From costs to logistics, visas to laundry, Wi-Fi to hair dye, and everything in between.
But before we get to the questions, we just want to let you know that we have created a website, cruisingwithmillennials.com, where you can get all this information in email format, completely free, just in case you ever need it in the future. Now, let's get to your questions as we look back on this amazing trip.
First of all, just to say thanks for everybody watching, because it's been, didn't exist, the channel 6 months ago, but now, thousands of people have watched that film. And all the comments have been really nice to hear, and we're glad that we could share the experience with you. Really, it started out as a bit of fun for us while we were on the cruise, and then suddenly it was, we could actually make a film out of this if we keep the phones rolling. So we're glad that it seems to have resonated and people have enjoyed watching our little adventure. We've broken this down into 3 key areas for the Q&A.
It will be about ship life, logistic, and the money.
Because everybody wants to know about the money. That's always one of the first things. So let's get to it.
So the ship life, we start with the questions of, in hindsight, was the club balcony cabin big enough, or do you wish you had upgraded? Before we started the cruise, we already said to each other that we have to treat the cabin or the stateroom to be like our bedroom, and the rest of the ship to be the rest of the house, because we know you just have limited space. And I think the balcony part of it is really helpful of not making anyone to feel trapped inside. It's just anytime you wanted to get a fresh air, you could go into the balcony. And our very first cruise, mentioned in our video, was about 15 years ago with Queen Mary 2. We did Southampton to New York to Caribbean and back. And with the naive of cruising, we did the inside stateroom, and that was very restricted. So having a balcony on this 4 months journey really was really good.
Then the next question, did you find there was enough variety of food on board for nearly 4 months?
I think so. For me, you have your designated restaurant, whether it's Britannia restaurant or Britannia Club like we did, or the grills. And every day the menu is different for lunch and dinner. And also the artisan food hall, the menus are different every day. Also, there's pub with really good fish and chips and pies and toasties, which we visited often. And then there's also Corinthia with different light snacks like sandwiches. They have really good, what they call profiteroles and eclairs. If you really do want to have different flavors, you could consider the extra charge alternative dinings. That's our favorite Japanese food ajiwa, or the steakhouse Sir Samuel's, or if you want Mediterranean, you can have in Tremonto, or Indians in Aranya. What I didn't mention is also I visited the Wellness Cafe, which is included with the ship fare. Often is so they have really good healthy food in the daytime. Also, to avoid being tired of the food, every time we're on port, we do try the local restaurant.
Yeah, we never eat on the ship if we're in an actual port. We always eat on land.
The next question is, your pink hair color looked absolutely beautiful. Thank you. How did you manage to maintain it throughout the cruise? So on the hair, you have the hair salon on the ship, which I heard is perfectly good. I heard they do really good ladies blowout. Is it called blowout? But the other options are, we see a lot of passengers do get their hair cut when they're on land. So a lot of time we come back on the ship, you see a lot of gentlemen with fresh haircuts. So that's the other option. Me personally, I plan for the 4 months what I want to do with my hair by doing it myself, which is a skill I learned during COVID. So I packed all the products I need on the ship and also buy someone in different cities. So I done it myself basically. I'm not sure if I would recommend to do that because the bathrooms are quite small in the staterooms, and also you really need to know what you're doing. Other than that, I really wanted to keep everything clean for the stateroom steward. So, but in short answer is, I done it myself. But you could consider to do it with the ship salon or inland.
Next question is, would like to know how you manage laundry. So we had two completely different strategies for this. We had two laundry strategies. Mine was to use the laundry service. They couldn't be bothered with the drama of the laundry. So I did that, but you had a completely different strategy.
Yes, there are laundry rooms all over the ship. Well, I actually went to look at it. There are 5 laundries in different decks. But considering how many people are doing World Cruise, which when we did our World Cruise, it was a maiden World Voyage, I imagine there are more people doing maiden World Voyage because all the laundry rooms are always full. It's a little bit of a strategic planning if you want to get yourself a free washing machine. And when it's finished, you want to take it out immediately, or you don't want to leave it there so nobody else could get in on that. And then when you get the laundry, you have to go out and find a dryer if your deck's dryer isn't available. So it's a little bit of fun playing with when and how could you get your laundry washed. But
hence my strategy. Just let them do it.
Yeah.
But I will say that the laundry rooms are also apparently the gossip centers of the ship, where you get all the info and all the rumors. So there's a bonus to the laundry room as well.
I think there are more gossips in laundry rooms than in the World Cruise lounge.
So next up is logistics. First of all, packing. So there are questions around this about how many suitcases, what we packed, etc. So to give the headlines, 2 suitcases, and I also took a PlayStation 5 in a case as well, which was another part of luggage. So probably had 3 or 4 cases really in the end. And the main things that I wanted to get was like stuff that I didn't want to wash constantly. So loads of t-shirts, loads of kind of casual wear stuff, loads of Yorkshire tea gold, because that was like a must on the ship. So at least a quarter of one of the cases was just Yorkshire gold. Another part was paracetamols and stuff like that.
Those two are the ship currencies.
Yeah, good tea and paracetamol currency on the ship.
I have maybe 2 and a bit more, so 2 big cases as well. But the good balance of packing is you could take as many as you want on the ship, but the balance is you also need them to be able to fit in your limited stateroom storage. So we wanted to make sure our living space during 4 months to be as tidy as possible. But I'd say other than the general things, your clothing and whatever, but I think the difference of this time's packing for me, number one important is medicines. Like Lee said, the paracetamols or any cold medicines, any stomach medicines, just whatever you need to be comfortable. And the second thing is comfort. I think that one of the best things we ever packed for this bigger journey is a mattress topper and a big cushions to lounge on. We got a big cushion each to lounge on. So yeah, that's the difference of all the other travels. Comfortness is the most important thing for us.
And to help with that, we bought those air vacuum packs that you could put the cushions and big coats and stuff in, so it scrunches it right down in the case so you can actually fit it in.
Yeah. What would you say is the best thing you brought?
Probably the big pillows and Yorkshire tea.
Yeah, the big pillows.
Yeah.
The best. But I did roll down the list of what I've packed, and Lee probably as well. We will fit that into the newsletter on our website as well.
We had quite a few questions around Wi-Fi generally. It sort of comes in, we'll mention it in the cost as well, but just to run you through the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi on any cruise ships before was a nightmare. You couldn't even download an email. This was like game changing having Starlink on this cruise. It was really good quality, quick enough that you can stream. We had Zoom. We all had to work while we were still on the cruise, so I needed to have Zooms like almost every week that we were on there. I needed to download big video files and upload video files and stuff. It was fine. Like Starlink was great. I could have Zooms, no problem. Watch YouTube or Netflix or whatever, no problem. Game changer, absolute game changer. It meant that you could work and talk to your family and friends while you're in the middle of the Pacific or the Atlantic. It was, yeah, Starlink has changed cruising and work possibilities for me at least, yeah.
In our other, the difference of the world cruise and our other cruising is that normally we do like to be a bit off-grid because our work needs to be involved with like computers and Wi-Fi all the time. But this time for 4 months, I do think it makes the difference in a better way to have Wi-Fi actually, and to do research for the next port that we're going.
Yeah, making reservations for on land or putting stuff in Google Maps so that once you're on land you can move around, buying tickets. All that really helps to have good Wi-Fi. Then visas. So I left most of this thing, so I'll hand over. But to run you through the overall visa thing, there's a mixture of visas that you get beforehand and visas that the ship will help you with. But Shamsing, you are unfortunately the expert in this area at the moment.
Yes. On the visas, I would say is big categories is the ones you need to do it yourself or the ones that is called ship visa. The ones you have to do it yourself, they recommend you to do it before you go on the cruise as well. So the ones you definitely have to do is the ESTA before you go on the cruise. Even on the boarding day, they say you have to have the ESTA for America before you go on the ship. And we did heard stories of people didn't have it and they had some problems. And other than that, you also need to apply the New Zealand's NZETA and Australia's ETAs as well. You can apply them before you arrive, but why not just apply it before the trip in the comfort of your own Wi-Fi and your own computer? The others are all pretty much categorized in the ship visa. These ship visas, they are for the ships. So most of the countries are quite comfortable if you just go in and walk off the ship. There are ones that you probably have to enter some details before you enter the country, but they are just to register your details, that's all. But it's quite a different type of visa to any other travelers. The ship visa, they take care of you. The ship just take care of everybody, and you can just happily just walk off the ship. Somebody asked if I use the CIBT visa, which Cunard recommends you to use, which I did consider because, like Lisa, I'm a Taiwanese, so there are more hurdles for me to jump through. I considered for the South Africa visa and Namibia. Ultimately, I didn't because you have to apply them with more restriction for me. But if you're a Cunard's main clientele, the Americans, Australians, New Zealanders, and British, I don't think there's many problems for you other than just me with more hurdles. And if you see the big films, there are some hurdles I wasn't able to jump through. Now onto the money. which everybody wants to know. We will break it down for you here.
So we've tried to break this down into some key areas, and what we must caveat this with is that this is on you, really. There are some things that are, it's the same for everybody, like the fare on the ship. But as far as how much you spend on the ship, how much you spend on land, what you buy, what you don't buy, what you drink, what you don't drink, that can be anything for anybody. So we can only give our price list, and then you can judge whether you would spend more or less, basically, depending on how much you drink or how much you want haircuts or massages or whatever it is. So, but we'll give you the facts of ours.
So, to begin with the World Voyage itself, we booked this cruise at the end of 2023, ready to set sail at the start of 2025. The cost for a balcony room was £45,486, which at the time was around $58,500.
There are a couple of pre-cruise extras, including insurance, which our bank provides travel insurance, but it only is 90 days, so we had to extend that to 107 days. Travelling to the terminal and things like this, which basically totaled around £2,000. So before sailing, the cost was around £47,000 or over $60,000. So onboard cost for us totaled around $11,000. Everything on the ship is done in dollars rather than pounds. But we did, because we are Cunard Diamond members, get a discount on the Starlink. So that brought the bill down by about $1,000. Onboard costs for us included some big one-offs like Starlink, which on their rate card is over $4,000. That's like the top Starlink package with multiple devices, and the fastest connection. And then also we had a couple of big one-offs, which were the spa, for us $600 each for the entire cruise, and then we did 4 or 5 excursions, mainly transfers if we didn't want to miss the boat leaving the shore, actually. So in all, that 11,000 was Starlink, spa and some excursions. We also had, obviously, off the ship costs, which are all the stuff that we wanted to do ourselves, so our own excursions, meals, travelling around the cities that we're in, etc. And we spent around £8,000 on that, which is about $10,500. So basically, those three costs together give us the grand total, Shanting, of
£63,700 and $82,000.
So they're the final costs. That's the numbers. And also, to slightly answer another question, no, we did not get any discount. No one sponsored us. No one paid us. That was £60,000 of our own money. We got no favours, no freebies, no sponsorship, and we made the video for the love of the game.
Some people ask if how do we manage to travel in all different countries with different currencies. So from what I remember, we exchange money before we go on a cruise for America, Australia and New Zealand, because we're staying for these countries for multiple days.
I was the only place where, and the rest of the time we use card. Just tapping cards works in most places.
Yes.
2 places it didn't work. Well, one place it didn't work hardly at all was Tonga. They just didn't have card machines or accept our cards, and we didn't have the local currency, so that stopped us getting drinks sometimes. And the other place that was a bit annoying was Hong Kong. Because they didn't accept some of our cards, obviously, like with Chinese, it being Chinese now, that they don't want to use Western payment systems. Some places our card worked, but in other places we downloaded the Octopus app. Octopus app, loaded it with some money, and then that worked everywhere. So it was, we didn't know that before we arrived, and ultimately we fixed the problem. But yeah, it's just kind of Hong Kong's just one to be aware of, really. Either get cash or download the Octopus app, I would say.
The other thing, other than the ship Wi-Fi, we got eSIMs. to use internet in multiple countries. So when we figure out we couldn't use our cars in Hong Kong, we have to quickly just go on the 4Gs, 5Gs to solve the problems. So eSIMs was very helpful for us.
Yeah, I agree. The eSIMs were super useful for directions and navigation when you're on land, and yeah, sorting anything that you need to do quite quickly, because yes, sometimes they O2 promise that your phone works everywhere and it doesn't. So the eSIMs were like crucial. Yeah, totally recommend getting those. And we're not sponsored by one. That is a legitimate get eSIMs recommendation. So to wrap up, one of the questions, and you can answer this first, Chanting. We hopefully give you a feeling of this in the film, but hope you're not sick of cruise ships after 107 days. Chanting, are you sick of cruise ships?
No, never. The thing is, every time in the end of a cruise ship holiday, especially on this world cruise for almost 4 months, it's time to think, I probably had a good trip now. I'm going to change my holiday next. I'm going to do a city one or a beach resort one, whichever. But then after you come back in 2 weeks, you're thinking, wish you were on a cruise ship again.
I have to admit, when I got off the cruise ship, I was ready to get off. Not in a negative way, just like, I miss some of the stuff at home. I miss the TV and a big comfy chair I have in the living room and stuff. Space. But almost like, say, 2 or 3 months later, once I'd caught up with work, I really missed the world cruise. I wish I was back on it like pretty quickly. I could have done 107 days like again at the end of the year. So yeah, I couldn't stay on for say 200 days, but 100, then a break, and then another 100 would have been like no problem at all. It's we love it. So yeah, not sick of it and ready to go again.
This won't be the last time we go on the ocean cruise.
Yeah. In terms of what's next, so we had a decision to make with this channel, really. It was like, does this just be a one-off thing that we did that's a nice memory? We made a film, people seem to like it. We were really happy that everybody was watching it. We can see the stats, and it was cool to see everybody watching it on the TV instead of the mobile, because that's what we wanted, is that you sit down and make a cup of Yorkshire tea and watch this like a movie, because that's what we intended for it to be watched like, not like on the toilet on your phone. So we were really happy with that. And then it was like, look, we either need to continue this channel and do more, or just have it as a time capsule that sits there. And we've decided to carry on, and as long as you want to watch what we make and we enjoy to make it, then why not continue cruising with millennials. So with that being said, we have decided to keep going and book the next cruise, which is
a river cruise in Danube.
So we head there next. That'll be our next big feature film. Hopefully you'll tune in if you want to see that. Our first river cruise, the channel's first river cruise. Let's see what that world is all about. And we'll have a film there for everybody in the coming weeks. So as usual, we say at the end of these videos, subscribe, because then you will get the news. But also, if you sign up for our newsletter on the site, cruisingwithmillennials.com, we'll send a notification on there as well of, when that film is ready. And if you keep enjoying it and we keep enjoying it, we will keep making films. So that's where we are. So until next time, when hopefully you're watching the river cruise video, all that's left for us is to say bye, and thanks for tuning in so far.
Thank you. We'll see you in the noob.
Cool.